recording.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Sherry Marie, and I'm really honored to have this moment to share my story, which probably is a story of many people, many women on this planet about coming out of the shadows, finding my voice, remembering who I am. I've been singing since I was 5 years old. That was my place of bliss, to just stand in front of the stereo and just sing my heart out. I was singing Aretha Franklin. As far as I was concerned, I was Aretha Franklin. And I found that that was my passion place. That's where I came alive. That's where I found my peace. And so as I grew up and, discovered more things about myself, I joined my gospel choir, or I should say my parents had me join the gospel choir at my church, and was so happy and content just singing background, supporting all the other great vocalists that were there. And I guess my choir director noticed a spark or something in me and said, listen, you got to come out of the back into the front. You've got to come out of the back and into the front. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. He said, listen, come to my house for practice session, just one practice session, no pressure, and see how it feels, and we'll take it from there. So I went, and he had me practice this very popular gospel song called Going Up to Zion. And he said, you're going to take the lead on this, and you're going to march in with this. And I was like, no, once again, no, I don't want to do it. But he coached me so beautifully. He helped me. I borrowed his faith in me to find the confidence to do it. And so that's kind of where coming out of the shadows with my voice began, and where I started to get a foothold on what I was kind of good at. I didn't realize that the joy I found in myself was actually bringing others joy. So a little time went by, got into high school, and this really great friend of mine at the time said to me, listen, I know you're on the school choir and everything, but you really need to think about getting involved in some pageants. Your voice is so beautiful. You need to be in pageants. Okay, that for me was just a no. I'm not a pageant fan. I don't like the concept of competing for beauty, it was like, don't want to do it. So she said, listen, just give it a try. I want people to hear your voice. She was just like this huge champion for me. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it. So this is my high school pageant, right?
Yes.
So interestingly enough, I got in the pageant and went through all of the steps of, all of the things you have to go through to be in the beauty pageant. You have to learn how to stand and how to, all that kind of cool stuff. And to my surprise, I won. I was like, wow, okay, this might be kind of cool. The hard work is paying off. She then convinced me to be a part of a citywide pageant. Okay, so this is another step up. And I still was not really, just didn't want to do it. She said, well, listen, it's just a city, it's going to be at one of the colleges here, and you've already done the pageant at school, so you know how to do it. Just come on and see what happens. I got in the pageant. It did really well. In fact, I won that one, right? So I'm gaining some momentum. So my voice is working. I'm out of the shadows. I have a voice. I can sing. Yes. The next step was to go to the state pageant. Still wasn't quite on board, but I jumped in it anyway because I had to now represent the city, whether I wanted to do it or not, because I'd won the city. I had to represent that city for the state pageant. All right, phase 3. got into the pageant, and the stakes were really much higher, much more intense. Um, the energy had shifted. I noticed girls weren't quite as friendly, and all of the things that I dreaded about the idea of being in a pageant. Well, boom, there they were. Got to the final phase of the pageant where they were judging, they were giving out who was first, second, third. And I knew that I could feel that I was doing well. I could feel that I was doing well. But what happened was they mixed my number with another contestant. So I got nothing. I was supposed to have gotten second runner up, right? And I got nothing. I cried like a baby. I cried like a baby. I was like, I knew it. I knew it would happen. All that hard work. How could they mix up my numbers? The judges were coming to me, each one of them individually. I'm so sorry. You were supposed to have gotten, first runner up. You were supposed to have gotten first runner up, and we got the numbers mixed up. We don't know how that happened. And I was like, I'm done.
Oh.
Done. No more pageants. No more. I'm just done. I knew still, though, that my voice was important, and I had this burning in me, and I knew I wanted to sing. I was like, I just want to sing. That's really what I want to do. I don't want to compete with people. I just want to sing. So by now I was heading to college. Went to the school there, and the music school. And I said, okay, I'm going to audition for the music school. I'm sure I know I can make it. I know I can at least get into the music school so that I could start to develop my talents. I was hungry. I wanted more. I was hungry. So I went to the music school, sang for the dean of the school. And after my audition was over, the dean looked at me, came from around the piano, put his arm around my shoulder, walked me towards the door, and kindly said to me, we appreciate your audition, but I think you need to find another profession.
Oh.
Wow. Crushed. I was crushed. I was crushed. And I just felt in that moment that it was a seminal moment. One of two things was going to happen. I was going to completely lose my voice, or I was going to show him and show them. So I called a friend of mine who was working with some of the biggest, acts in music at the time. And he was from Columbia, South Carolina, my home. I said, what can I do? I want to get into the business, and I want to sing. I want to sing. He says, well, find someone in the town that has a band that you can plug into and can maybe coach you and get you some, teach you stage presence and teach you how to sing.
Mm-hmm. Cherie?
And he said, sure, I'm actually looking for a vocalist. Okay, so he started training me. I started to learn how to listen and how to project and all of those things that are very important when it comes to performance. I learned how to sing on pitch better, all of these things. He's a great teacher. So he said, okay, look, I want you to get on the band. Come on, we've got some gigs lined up. And I started to do really well with my performances. Of course, I was green as grass, and, some things really sucked some nights, but, you make it through, you learn, got bumps and bruises, you get up, you dust off, you keep it moving. And eventually the crowds began to get larger, way up from my first performance where there was one person and I made $5. That's another story. So, but as time progressed, the crowds were getting larger and people were waiting for me to sing. He was an instrumentalist, really cool guy. I was like, okay, but I wasn't really paying that any attention. I just wanted to sing until one day I was singing and I had my eyes closed. I could feel the lights on me, and I was just singing my little heart out. And then I could feel this shadow come across me, kind of like an eclipse. And stood there for a minute. And then when I opened my eyes, I saw that he had just blocked me. He just stood in front of my microphone and blocked me. I don't know what he was doing. He just stood there. And then he walked off to the side. And I thought that was the oddest thing. The next week, he fired me over the phone.
Oh.
Okay, he called me and said, "Listen, I don't need you for the show. I got another singer." And I was, of course, devastated. I was crushed. I was like, what in the world did I do? Why would he? I later found out that it was an ego issue. You know, he wanted the spotlight, and I was taking up too much of it. So I then had to decide, well, Sherry, is this really in you? Is this really what you want to do? And I said, yes, I know that I could feel that this is what Spirit has for me to do in this lifetime. So I dropped out of college, much to my mother's chagrin. She was not happy, but she said, listen, okay, you finish the semester and then you can go for it. I found a band later on that year, actually, a guy that I had met who was in California at the time going to school, and he moved back to Columbia and started a band. And so we actually met on the band for the guy that fired me. And he started his band. He said, listen, I need a singer. Come on. We became great friends. I actually married him eventually.
Oh.
Yeah, he became my husband. And we started a band. And he was a star, brilliant guitarist, really fabulous human being. And, we started to work with major artists like the OJs and Patti LaBelle and Dizzy Gillespie. I had the great honor and privilege of being able to perform for him before he transitioned. And just a beautiful laundry list of outstanding talent. And I found even then, I found that my voice was, as amazing as it is, it was still not out front. I was still in the shadows. I was supporting my man. I was standing by my man, and it was making me happy, and things were going well. And then the children started coming, and I had to make a choice. I was in Japan. I had to make a choice as to whether I was going to be a full-time mom, domestic goddess, I like to call it, or if I was going to continue to pursue my career in music. And I opted for the former because when I was in Japan, I missed my children miserably. I was so miserable. And when I got back and found out how much they had missed me and how much they had changed, one of them had lost a lot of weight, and I knew that was a sign for me. So we mutually agreed that I would become a domestic goddess, which was great. It was wonderful. I would change nothing. Everything that I contributed to their success, not sacrificed, but contributed to their success, is worth it. And it was a huge lesson for me because I found out some things about myself that were amazing that I did not know. I began to find my voice in other areas because being a mom is, for any of you who have children, it is the toughest, most wonderful job you'll ever have in life. And so I learned a lot about how to be more compassionate, how to care for other human beings, how to listen and learn, They taught me so much. They're like my greatest teachers in life. The thing that I did not learn was how to keep myself on the list
Okay.
of things that were important.
Let's pause there. Okay. Keep going so we can finish.
I didn't learn how to care for myself. So I totally lost who I am. I totally lost my pure voice, the real essence of who I am and who God created me to be. And I allowed myself to be devalued. I allowed myself to not take a backseat, but just not even be in the vehicle at all. I was not even in the car, and I found myself one day just totally depressed, totally hopeless, and just unaware of what am I to do, where am I to go? It was right about that time my husband, my late husband, asked for a divorce. And I was like, wow, okay. Then this was after we were at year 20 at this point. I'd been married like 20 years. So we were about at year 19, 20. He said he wanted a divorce. Devastated. And I said, okay, because I knew at that point I had given everything that I could give, and that if I didn't get out of the relationship that was no longer nurturing me, that had become untenable. He had become unkind. He'd become unloving. And if I was going to survive, I had to get out of there. I had to get out. So I said yes. And as painful as it was, the journey to loving myself began. The journey to really coming completely out of the shadows started there. I had to first figure out what I was going to do. What are you going to do now? It's that, and how are you going to do it? So I just was praying, God, what am I supposed to do? What am I here to do? I don't even know anymore. And my sister, who was in Las Vegas, called out of the blue. I was literally in the floor in a fetal position, bawling my eyes out. And she called. She said, I don't know what you're doing or what's going on, but you need to get up off of the floor. And you're here to sing. So that was my sign. That was my hallelujah, angels coming down, rays of sunshine. She said, you're here to sing. It's time for you to sing. And so, okay. I said, okay. So little by little, I began to I had stopped listening to music, by the way. I wasn't even listening to music in my home anymore. I was that gone. So I started to listen to motivational speakers that I resonated with, and slowly started to listen to music. I started to exercise again. I started to just believe in myself again. From there, I began to put performances together. Once I got myself kind of together where I, felt courageous enough to go back out and sing again, I started to put performances together and go into the studio and work on music and, just feel alive again. I just felt validated again. I joined another band at that point just to kind of make some ends meet, and, started to sing in other cities in Colombia. And gradually the momentum built, and I got to work with people like Ashford and Simpson, and let me get the names right. Ashford and Simpson. I said Patti LaBelle, Al Jarreau. One of the times and the calls started coming in. I got calls to open for these amazing artists. One story with Al Jarreau that I would just want to throw in here so that you'll know. He was doing a sound check, right? And I was just on the side of the stage, just watching him in absolute amazement. And I had a water bottle, and I was just, I don't know if you're familiar with the instrument called a shekere. Anyway, it was like I was playing music, but it was a water bottle. He could see I was grooving with him, right? And I was just in my mind, I was like on stage with him, and he motioned me to come. He's like, come on out here. And I was like, no. I regret, if there's one regret I have, that is the one. He said, I didn't go. I was too scared because I was just coming out of that oppressive situation that I was in. I was too scared. And he just looked I could see the disappointment in his face. But my heart I was just frozen. I was like, no, I can't do it. He was just so disappointed. And I was disappointed in me. You know what I mean? So that was a really, that was a huge shadow. This is a man that I had listened to forever. And I just adored him. Now, he did, after I did my performance, after I opened for him, he did mention me when in his performance, and he said, what about that beautiful queen? And she was so good, and yada, 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 yada. And he had the people cheer for me once again, So he saw me, but because I was afraid, and, I couldn't do, I was pushing myself so hard. I was really, just even to open for him at that point in my career was huge because I was just getting back into the game. I hadn't been doing any singing and as much and so forth and so on. So, I'm at the point now where I'm rebuilding my empire. I'm building an empire. I'm beginning again. It's not even that I'm starting over. I'm beginning again. I understand my value. I understand my purpose. I understand that I'm a healer through sound. I understand that it is necessary for me to shine my light as brightly as possible so that others who have been in the shadows can come out of the shadows and find their own voice. And that's really why I sing now. My intention and my hope and my prayer is that what I do give and what I do share is felt on a level that inspires others to do the same thing, to get out of being stuck, to getting to find their center and to find that thing that is great in them and only they have it. We've got 7 billion or more people on the planet. And how is it that none of us have the same fingerprint? We don't even have the same fingerprints on our own hands. There's a reason for that. It's because we're all masterpieces. So as I share and as I give, it's coming from a very pure space. And I know that it is a healing power this is how I do my ministry. This is how I share my light and what God has given me here to do. And so I think I'll stop there. I know I left out some other stuff, but that's cool. Yeah.
Awesome.